So let's break down Marcus Rashford and Manchester United's first goal in this game, which stemmed from United pressing Leicester well in the middle third, winning the ball back and then transitioning the attack quickly, and using Marcus Rashford's pace from a central position to exploit Leicester's high defensive line. But before I go any further, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, OneFootball, which has become my favourite football app because it has everything you need to keep up to date with the latest news and transfers, providing you with articles to read as well as videos to watch, whilst also being excellent for keeping up to date with all the matches from across the world that are going on, providing a live ticker as well as match ratings and statistics, whilst also allowing you to check your team stats from across the whole season. If you're sick of having to use Google and Twitter to search for news and stats that you want to see, then the OneFootball app is definitely the app for you, so I'll leave it linked in the description below, and by downloading the app you will be helping to support the channel. In this video I'll be solely analysing United's first two goals, both scored by Marcus Rashford, and in a video that should be out tomorrow I will do a whole tactical analysis of the game, so if you do want to see that video make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when that video comes out. So we see here as the Leicester centre back Wout Faes has the ball, that United are stationed in what resembles a 4-1-4-1 defensive shape, with Fred and Weghorst sitting in front of Sabitzer on Mendy and Dewsbury Hall. But in this particular instance, not only is United's defensive shape a bit wider than you would want, with Garnacho holding a wide position on the left, but Mendy has also managed to get goal side of Weghorst, and so it's a simple pass that Faes should be able to play into Mendy, and if the pass from Faes is weighted well and directed accurately, then Mendy should be able to turn with the ball and drive straight through the heart of the United midfield, with Weghorst behind him, and Fred far enough away where I don't think he'd be able to recover if Mendy was able to drive forward with the ball. And then from here out of picture, Maddison is going to be able to pull off into space as Sabitzer has to come out of that deep single pivot position to confront Mendy. And so despite this situation leading to a United goal, it could have very easily led to Leicester playing in behind United's midfield and driving straight at that back line and getting into their final third, where they were very dangerous throughout the first half. However, the Belgian Wout Faes does seem to have a lot of mistakes in his game from what I've seen. He did score two pretty ridiculous own goals against Liverpool, and for Rashford's first goal he makes two mistakes. The first is that he just completely overhits a simple 5-yard pass into Mendy, which leads not only to the ball drifting into the pass of Sabitzer, but because Mendy is chasing after the ball, he now, as a consequence of Faes' poor ball, gets massively drawn out of position, leading to Weghorst having a lot of space in what you'd call the half space in behind the Leicester midfield, and this is significant for this goal. But before we come on to that part of the play, I do have to give credit to Sabitzer. He's very combative and industrious in the centre of the park, and so he's able to get to this loose ball, when someone like Eriksen or even McTominay maybe wouldn't have had the anticipation or reaction speed to move out of that deep position and get to the ball before Mendy. And not only does he get to the ball first, winning possession, but he also does something crucial. He plays a pass into Bruno Fernandes. If he had just raced into this 50-50 tackle, not actually being aware of where the ball goes when he wins possession, then United obviously wouldn't have been able to transition the attack as quickly as they were able to do. And once the ball goes into Bruno Fernandes' feet, this is where the problems really start to develop for the Leicester back line. You can see here as Bruno Fernandes is about to play the ball, that Weghorst is completely free in front of Faes, sitting in behind Mendy in the space that he's been forced to vacate in chasing down Faes' loose ball. And because Sabitzer played the ball first time into Bruno Fernandes, not only is Christensen, the left back, too far away from Bruno Fernandes to actually get close to him, put in a tackle and stop him being able to get the ball out of his feet, looking up and playing this pass, but Dewsbury Hall, the other central midfielder for Leicester, isn't able to recover and come across to close up the space for Weghorst, and so this does put Faes, the left-sided defender for Leicester, in a dilemma. The initial problem he sees is that Weghorst is free in front of him, and it's this type of situation where football intelligence really comes into play for a centre-back. And out of all the centre-backs I've watched this season against Manchester United, Faes has to be the most erratic in terms of his decision making. The initial threat is Weghorst in front of him, but a good centre-back would recognise that at this stage of play, Leicester have a very high back line with a lot of space in behind them, and not enough pressure on the ball to stop Bruno Fernandes getting the ball out of his feet and finding a forward pass. And once you also factor in that Marcus Rashford is United's centre forward, against Harry Souttar, Leicester's right-sided centre-back, who's definitely not the quickest, it becomes an even worse decision for Faes to push up onto Weghorst, essentially making Bruno Fernandes' decision for him, opening up that passing lane to thread a through ball to find Marcus Rashford's bending run in behind the back line. But you have to give massive credit to Bruno Fernandes. A lot of players would have either played a pass short to Sabitzer or gone for the pass into Weghorst. But Fernandes is United's most creative player in these advanced positions. And not only has he got the vision to see these types of runs, but he's also got the ability to find these passes. And because he uses that outside of the boot technique to play the pass, the ball holds up instead of running through to the goalkeeper, allowing Rashford to run through on goal. But before we get on to Marcus Rashford's finish, if we actually analyse this situation from Harry Souttar's point of view, you can actually see that he's been pretty hard done by his centre-back partner. With Gary Neville also agreeing in commentary, basically saying that Souttar doesn't have much choice in this situation. If he tries to drop off and stay with Rashford's run, he's probably still going to get outrun just because of Rashford's pace. And even if the pass doesn't go into Rashford and the ball goes into Weghorst instead, you would now have a situation where Souttar is much deeper than the rest of the Leicester back line, keeping not only Marcus Rashford in that central position onside, but also Garnacho on the far side onside. And so likely what would happen is Weghorst would knock the ball off for Sabitzer and he'd play that pass into Garnacho, whose high position without the ball probably would have actually paid off in this situation with Castagna behind him, and this likely would have resulted in Garnacho getting a one-on-one shooting opportunity from a more central position than the one that Rashford had. And so to me, Souttar is left with only one logical option, and that is to step up, play the offside trap and look to catch Rashford offside. But not only does Fernandes get the timing of his pass absolutely perfect, but Rashford does extremely well to hold his run knowing he's got the pace on Souttar. And despite Souttar having the right idea in my opinion, he doesn't get the execution quite right, as he's just not quick enough to step up in time, and so his trailing leg keeps Rashford onside. And once Rashford's run and Fernandes' pass meet in perfect coordination, Rashford finds himself in a one-on-one position on the right side of the box, and Rashford's finish past the keeper is textbook. He's composed, gets the ball out of his feet, takes enough time to set himself but doesn't take too much time so that Face can make a recovery. And as Rashford hits the ball, you can see the space is obviously in the far corner going across the keeper, and not only is Rashford's accuracy pinpoint, but he also hits the ball with such pace that Danny Ward in goal pretty much has no chance of stopping it as the ball nestles in the far corner. And yet again, Marcus Rashford is the man to open the scoring for United. But whereas United and Rashford's first goal came from him making a central run, his second goal came from his usual position out on the left, making a diagonal run in behind the fullback. Here we see as Martinez is striding forward with the ball on the left side, that Rashford is now occupying his usual high and wide position on the left flank rather than in the centre forward position, with Weghorst now positioned there. And the benefit of this is obvious. He can sit wide and drag his fullback over to him, which therefore opens up a massive space between the opposition's right back and centre back. And that's exactly what happens here. You can see as Martinez is about to play a pass forward, that Rashford is already anticipating the pass in behind Castagna. And so as the ball leaves Lisandro Martinez's foot, Rashford's already on his way. The ball goes into Fred, who initially does well to position himself ahead of Dewsbury Hall goal side. And crucially, as Martinez plays a pass into him, Fred's first touch is very good, which sets him up to then play that through ball in behind for Marcus Rashford. If Fred had taken another touch, which he is liable to do in these sorts of situations, then Rashford probably has to check his run, come back, and the opportunity of playing Rashford in behind Castagna goes away. But this doesn't happen, and because Leicester are playing a fairly high defensive line, there's a massive amount of space in behind the Leicester back line, and so Fred's pass doesn't even have to be that accurate, it just has to release Rashford into the space. And as we saw from the VAR, Rashford, like with the first goal, times his run absolutely spectacularly. It's that diagonal run from the left flank which Thierry Henry made famous, which both Rashford and Mbappe do sublimely. And once the ball goes in behind Castagna, he's got no chance of catching Rashford, who races away from him into the one-on-one position, and crucially, rather than just going straight, heading into a wide position on his left foot, he has the awareness of how he wants to set up the chance, going across Castagna so he can't recover, but it also puts him in a more central position, giving him a higher XG shooting opportunity. And even though he doesn't get it into the far corner as he did with the first goal, he releases a shot quickly enough with enough pace on the ball that Danny Ward can't really react, and the ball goes under him into the net, and Rashford has his second goal, with United now having a 2-0 lead. And I think both of these goals are perfect case studies to show just how much Marcus Rashford has developed since Ten Hag has taken over, as he now has the awareness and the ability to time his run to perfection. And a big criticism of him that I had last season was that he was almost better under pressure when he had less time, and when he did have time to think, he often overthought and often ended up picking the wrong option or losing his composure. However, now he's ice cool in these situations, and we saw it with how well he took both of these goals.